This week, I turned $80 into 30 meals, 21 for me and the rest for my guests. Many of the dishes that I'm going to share are super easy to make and they come together quickly. Besides, all of them can be mixed and matched to create a plant-powered flavor wonderland. Here's the concept. We will go through planning, ingredient prep, cooking, storing, and assembling the meals. Meal prepping is self-care, but this week it also feels like traveling. The reason I chose Korea for the first episode of Meal Preps Around the World is banchan. I dream of going to Korea someday, but for now, YouTube is my airline, my university, and this week, apparently, also my Korean mommy. I researched recipes on more than 10 Korean cooking channels, and I saw this doobie-doobop video where she explains the concept of Korean meal prepping. I was instantly hooked on this idea, especially after I found out that the history of banchan is rooted in temple food, which is traditionally plant-based. While I think in general Korean cuisine is not very vegan at its core, during my research I did come across a lot of plant-based traditional dishes. I found as many historically vegan dishes as I could, but I'll also be veganizing a few, as well as trying some modern classics like kimchi grilled cheese and kimchi mac and cheese. I shopped in two places, the Asian store and the market for veggies. The cost of all ingredients came down to $135, but the cost of all 30 meals was around $80, which means I'll have leftover ingredients for weeks and months to come. The plan is simple. We will have veggie-forward dishes that are rich in protein, as well as, of course, some delicious carbs, plus some fast food gems. If you are making many or maybe even all of the recipes that I'm going to share today, you can use this prep list. Once you have all the ingredients prepped and chopped, the cooking process will go much smoother and faster. Of course, you can also just pick a few from each category to create a balanced week of eats while spending less time in the kitchen. First things first, let me share some important prep tips. I'm going to start with the cucumbers because they need to be marinated. There is this cool way of cutting them for this recipe. First, you cut them perpendicularly to the chopsticks, then you flip the cucumber around and slice it diagonally. This is making sure that there are many cuts and many places for the marinade to soak in. Besides, it also looks kind of cool. It will not only taste amazing, but also look very impressive. I'm going to use coarse salt for the cucumbers, but don't worry, we're going to wash the salt away and then marinate them. Next, for the zucchini matchsticks, I'm first slicing them into thin slices and then laying them out flat on the board to chop them finely. This is much safer than piling them and then trying to cut the pile. I'm also going to need some bigger pieces of zucchini for other recipes, so I cut them diagonally like this. I'm using the same method to create carrot matchsticks. First the thin slices, then lay them out flat on the board and chop finely. You can use a wet cloth to cover your veggies while you're working so they don't dry out. I cut a large potato into small cubes for the tofu stew, but I'm also going to use a part of it for the mac and cheese sauce. When it comes to potatoes, if you're not using it right away, you want to cover it in water so it doesn't brown and dry out. I'm going to need a lot of onions, and the easiest way to peel them is just cut them in half and peel the skin off by the tip. To create onion matchsticks, you want to slice off both tips and then slice it finely in a vertical direction. There is nothing holding together the onion layers, and you get these perfect matchsticks. For diced onion, you want to slice off the top tip and then cut it vertically, then horizontally, and once you get to the root, you can just discard it. Yesterday, I watched a chef talk about knife sharpening, and he said, the sharper your knife, the less of a chance that you're gonna cry chopping onions, and that's the reason why chefs don't cry when they chop onions, not because they're tougher, but because their knives are sharper. Man, I sharpened my knife yesterday to the point where it like cuts paper perfectly. Look at me, I'm bawling my eyes out. I think it's false, huh? I remember the place where I worked in the kitchen, we had an onion dish and we needed a bunch of onions, so we would just do them on a slicer. And yeah, I would just basically be bawling my eyes out in the kitchen for like 30 minutes, you know, still in a good mood, laughing and everything, but like tears rolling down to the point where like my uniform was all wet from my tears. Your shiitake mushrooms are small like mine. There is no need to throw out the stems. They pack a lot of flavor. They are delicious and you definitely want to keep them. Same goes for the button mushrooms. You can keep the stems, just slice them separately so they don't bother you when you're trying to cut the mushroom itself. We are going to need cubed mushrooms for other recipes, so I just cubed some shiitake mushrooms as well as the button mushrooms. My button mushrooms were quite big in comparison to the shiitake, so I sliced them in half before cubing them. For the bell peppers, you want to cut off the bottom and then all the sides, so you don't need to deal with the seeds. I cut my bell peppers into these little triangles, but you can choose a shape you like. I had a bit of leftover squash from the garden, but you could use a pumpkin instead. When it comes to tofu, I'm going to cut it in 3 different ways. I need slices for the braised tofu, then I put a little piece aside for small dice for the kimchi toast, and then I created larger cubes for the stew. The best way to create equal size cubes is cut it in the middle and then cut the sides in the middle as well, and do the same thing in both directions. For the small piece of tofu that I left aside for the kimchi grilled cheese sandwich, you could also slice it into thin slices, but I went for small cubes this time. With the small cubes, you can also make it a one-pot recipe. The easiest way to peel garlic is cutting off the root part and then smashing it lightly. This way the peel comes off really easily. That is if you don't need the cloves perfect and not smashed. But in this case, I'm actually going to smash the cloves even more, so there is less chopping to do. There is quite a bit of work to be done with the knife still. Of course, you can use a food processor, but don't buy pre-chopped garlic. It really doesn't taste the same. It does take a bit of time, but I'm going to chop more garlic than I'm going to use this week. Like that, I can just freeze it and have it ready to go whenever I need it. If you decide to freeze the leftover garlic, don't forget to portion it so you don't end up with a giant block of garlic. For the chili peppers, if you want nice rounds with no seeds inside, you can use a chopstick and go around in the middle of the chili once you've cut the tip off, and then the seeds will come out if you tap lightly. I did the same thing as I did with the garlic. I chopped more chili than I needed, like that. I only have spicy fingers once, but then I can freeze the chili and have it ready to go whenever I need it. My chilies were pretty spicy, so I decided to finely chop a part of them because I knew that for some recipes it would be more practical to not have whole slices in the dish. The easiest way to peel a ginger is by using a spoon. This way you lose way less of the flesh than if you were to use a peeler, for example. First, I sliced my ginger into thin slices, just like we did with the zucchinis and carrots, in order to create matchsticks, because then it is very easy to finely chop the matchsticks. You could also freeze your ginger and use a fine grater like microplane to grate it. I like to chop the white parts of scallions separately from the green parts because the cooking time is different. I did the eggplant last because they tend to brown if left unattended for a long time, and after chopping, I am going to steam the eggplants right away. Now that we have all the prep done, we can begin the fun part, cooking. Let's start with the 6 veggie dishes of the week. Here we have the ingredients for steamed eggplants. Start by placing the eggplants in a steaming basket. Alternatively, you could use an electric steamer or a microwave. If you're using a microwave, choose a suitable bowl and add a couple of tablespoons of water. While the eggplant is steaming, make the dressing. To a bowl, add ssanjang, soy sauce, sesame oil, toasted sesame seeds, and garlic. Then mix everything together. Once the eggplant is cooked through and soft, it's time to add the sauce. You can dress it directly in the container you plan to store it in. Next, I'm going to prepare the cucumbers. The first step is rinsing off the excess salt. Then, lightly squeeze the cucumbers to get rid of some of the water. A little bit is fine, but you don't want them swimming in water. For the marinade, add gochujang, soy sauce, sesame oil, rice syrup or sugar, gochugaru, vinegar, sesame seeds, and garlic. Mix well before covering your cucumbers in a sauce. Doing this with hands might irk some people, but there are cultures, and if I'm not mistaken, including Korean, where there's even a word for it. It's a flavor of the cook's hand. It might sound a bit weird to some, but it's the only reliable way to really massage in the sauce. And right now the sauce might look quite thick, but the cucumbers are gonna release more water. This next dish was a very fun discovery for me because I cooked with the lotus root for the very first time. I was thinking between making seasoned mung bean sprouts and a lotus root dish, and then I heard Doobie-Doobop say this: if you have friends that are vegan and you make them lotus root sweet and sour style, they will go to war for you. So here we are. Start by coating the lotus root slices in a starch and deep fry them in a suitable oil. You can make sure the oil is hot enough by using a chopstick. Look for light bubbling around the chopstick. In a pan, fry bell pepper and zucchini. Then mix the sauce in a bowl. Add soy sauce, rice syrup, vinegar, and water. To the pan with fried veggies, add the sauce. You can also use a separate pot if you are protecting your cookware from vinegar like I am. Add the fried lotus root and coat it in the sauce. You could garnish the dish with sesame seeds and scallions, but I left mine as is. Next one is super simple, blanched and seasoned spinach. Blanch the spinach in boiling water for 30 seconds. Rinse it in cold water to stop the cooking process and gently squeeze out the excess water. You can dress the spinach directly in the storage container. Add sesame oil, sesame seeds, salt, garlic, and mix well. The next one is going to be very pretty. Seaweed fritters. Wet the rice paper and lay it flat on a surface with the shiny side down. Sprinkle on some sesame seeds and gochugaru. Layer on a seaweed sheet with the shiny side up and lightly press them together. If your nori sheets are not the same size as the rice paper, cut off the excess seaweed. It won't have the same cooking time as the part that is in contact with the wet rice paper. You can use the seaweed scraps in a stew or broth later. Use scissors to create the desired shape and size for the crisps. Heat up frying oil, same as with the lotus root dish. Check the temperature with a chopstick or just do one test crisp. If the oil isn't hot enough, the rice paper doesn't puff up and the crisps come out chewy instead of crunchy. Heads up, if you have a poor air circulation and or no range hood in the kitchen, some gochugaru will eventually end up in the hot oil and the air might become slightly spicy. I had my kitchen hood off since I was filming, and by the end of frying, my eyes became sensitive to the chili in the air. Nothing major, just worth knowing. The last veggie side dish we are making is zucchini fritters. Salt the zucchini to taste and let the water draw out for approximately 10 minutes. Add onion, chili, and potato starch. Then fry into thin pancakes in a generous amount of oil. You can also do one big pancake filling the whole pan. Though stir the batter between each pancake to make sure starch is dispersed evenly. I saw a famous Korean chef, Baek Jung-won, use starch for veggie fritters on his YouTube channel, so I went with his technique. But you could also use soaked and blended mung beans or other plant-based egg alternative instead. That's all the vegetable dishes done. Next, we are going to take care of our protein of the week. Braised tofu is something I make often. Simple, cheap, yet wildly flavorful and, of course, nutritious. Start by making the braising sauce. Mix together a soy sauce, vinegar, sesame oil, and rice syrup. Pan-fry tofu from both sides till golden. Take the tofu out of the pan. I switched to a pot, but if your pan is suitable for braising, you can use the same pan to lightly stir-fry onion, green onion, chili, and garlic. Add the sauce and a splash of water. Put the tofu in the sauce and braise for 10 minutes. You can add MSG if you have it on hand. Garnish with sesame seeds and green onion. The next one, bulgogi. Traditionally, it's not a vegan dish, but I have replaced the meat with seitan from the Asian store. You can use soy curls instead, which would also make the dish much cheaper. I think tempeh and homemade seitan would work wonders too. To a blender, add apples and onions. Blend till smooth. Transfer to a bowl and add vinegar, soy sauce, rice syrup, and sesame oil. Mix and add the sauce to mushrooms and seitan. Add garlic, ginger, sesame seeds, and green onions. Mix well and store in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. Once finished marinating, grill or stir fry. I'll keep mine in the fridge overnight and fry when needed. Next, we have another tofu dish, doenjang jjigae or soybean paste stew. In a pot, fry mushrooms and when they start browning, add onion. When the onion is starting to turn golden, add garlic and white parts of green onion. When the garlic becomes fragrant, add gochugaru. Toast it for a couple of seconds before adding water. Add potatoes and cook them until they're almost done. Then add tofu and some fresh chili if you want some more spice. I tried adding doenjang through a sieve like I usually do with other pastes, but it has whole beans in it and it doesn't work in this case. Besides, it dissolves into the stew easily, so just spoon it right in. When the potatoes are fully cooked, add zucchini and scallions. If you plan to reheat the dish, then only cook the zucchini for a minute. I cooked mine till done and it was a bit overcooked when reheated. The last protein source of the week is a silken tofu, but I'll leave the prep for later in the week since it only takes a couple of minutes to throw together. Now, last but most definitely not least, we are going to prep our carbs, starting with rice cakes or tteokbokki. I fried the white parts of the scallions and decided to lightly toast the gochujang in the pot with the scallions, but you can skip this step and add water right away. Add some dried mushrooms and let them simmer until they are soft. I'm also adding soy sauce, rice syrup, gochugaru, and a touch of bulldog chili sauce. Once your mushrooms are soft, take them out and cut them into smaller pieces. Put the mushrooms back in the pot and add rice cakes along with the tofu puffs. Adjust the water level if needed and simmer until your rice cakes are soft and the sauce has thickened. Now, the next one is a cult classic by now, and yet this is the first time I'm making kimchi mac and cheese. In a pot, caramelize kimchi with some sugar syrup. Deglaze with a splash of water and set aside. In the same pot, fry the onion till golden, caramelize gochujang, deglaze with water and add the squash and potato. Let everything simmer until the veggies are soft. Melt in some vegan cheese and then blend until smooth. If you don't like vegan cheese, use soaked cashews and nutritional yeast instead. Be careful though, blend while everything is still warm but not hot. Hot air expands and can send your blender lid and sauce flying. Boil pasta and save the pasta water. To the cooked pasta, add the sauce and caramelized kimchi. Adjust the consistency to your liking with the pasta water if necessary. Serve as is with some crispy onions or transfer to a baking tray and top with panko or breadcrumbs. Bake right away or store in the fridge or freezer. I'll make the glass noodles tomorrow after breakfast, So the last one for today is rice and green pea porridge. This one comes together super quickly. Simmer fresh or frozen green peas in a bit of water and then set aside. In the same pot, boil a short grain rice in double the normal volume of water. When the rice is cooked, add back the peas. You can salt the porridge while cooking or season it when serving. This recipe comes from a doobie-doobop video about North Korean cuisine. It looks super basic, but me from the future can already tell you, together with toppings, surprisingly, this will become a thing on my staple breakfast list. And just so you know, that is a very short list. 2, now 3 things to be exact. Good morning, guys. First things first, let's make breakfast. Today, I want to have kimchi grilled cheese for breakfast. And after that, I still want to prep one more dish, even though I'm kind of done with the meal prep, but I really want to make japchae because I want to use the leftovers in another dish later in the week. And then when we are done with that, I'm going to show you everything that we have prepped for the week. And I will also talk about how to store all this food. And of course, I will show you how I serve all these meals during the week. Instead of using plant butter on the outside of the toast, I'm going to take a tip from Tina from doobie-doobop. She suggests using mayo together with gochujang to create a nice crust on the outside of the toast. I'm going to fry mushrooms and tofu in my carbon steel pan and then caramelize the kimchi in this little pot with maybe a touch of sugar so there is more caramelization. But you could do all of this in one pan or even just use it raw in the toast because it's still going to be grilled. But me being me, I'm super protective over my carbon steel pan coating because I've developed a really nice non-stick layer on my carbon steel pan, and the acidity from the kimchi is probably gonna strip that away a bit. And because of that, I'm just gonna use a separate pot for the kimchi, but that is a step you can totally skip. If you have access to sourdough or a good seed loaf, definitely use that. At the moment, I only have a plain toast, but since we are packing so much flavor in this, it's gonna be great even with this simple toaster bread. Vegan cheese melts better when it has moisture surrounding it. That's why I'm putting the mayo on the cheese. We have a little extra slice, why not? And now for the mayo on the outside. It's the first time I'm doing something like this, but I am really curious and always up for trying something new. When a day starts with a grilled cheese sandwich, you know it's gonna be a good day. Let's give it a taste. It's crunchy, it's beautiful. I really love the idea about putting mayo on the outside, but with mayo you have to be a bit more careful because obviously it burns quicker, especially with vegan mayo. That is good. It's lunchtime and I'm getting ready to make japchae. I wanted to mention that I'll be using kale instead of spinach. I know it is not at all traditional, but I ran out of spinach, and also kale is super good at the moment where I'm at because it's in the season, and I think that's kind of more important to stay seasonal, to stay local, instead of maybe using the exact ingredients. And then another thing, last thing I need to chop this week is wood ear mushrooms. I could leave them as they are. They're not too big. But if I slice them thinly, then I'll have a mushroom per each bite instead of like maybe every other bite. Besides, the rest is already chopped super thinly, like in strips. And it's just gonna go better with the dish, I think. Here we have all the ingredients for a japchae. I'm going to start by making the sauce. First, I'm adding a soy sauce, then a sesame oil, very important because it gives a lot of flavor. Also, some rice syrup. You can use sugar instead if you prefer, but just make sure that it melts well into the sauce. Then a little bit of vinegar and, of course, some garlic. Mix it up, add some water, and the sauce is ready. Traditionally, vegetables for japchae are fried separately, one by one, and that is also something that I like doing because it gives a really good control over how much you cook each ingredient, making sure that everything is perfectly cooked. I've also heard other creators like Korean Vegan mention that it is important to keep the flavors of each vegetable, and that is another reason why they are fried separately. But of course, you could just use your oven or fry them all at the same time if you're feeling a bit lazy. After adding the sauce to the noodles, don't wait for too long. They are gonna absorb the sauce quickly. You just cook them for 1 minute approximately, and they're all done. Here I'm chopping them up a little bit with the scissors because yeah, they are very long. As you can see, it is not that easy to portion even when they have been cut a little bit, but this looks delicious. And I added some sesame seeds, and here we have the finished dish. I'm having my mom over for lunch, so I served 2 plates. But I'm gonna do a little taste test for you before I sit down at the table with her. These look so good. Telling myself eat noodles feels a bit weird because it's a messy process. Let me tell you, this is delicious. This is really good. But I do understand why scissors are a very, very much a common kitchen tool in Korean cooking. I think in Japanese as well, because the noodles, sometimes I feel like I do need the scissors, in my other hand to cut off the bottom. It's dinner time, and I'm going to have some braised tofu for dinner with some rice and banchan on the side. I will use a steaming basket to heat up the tofu. So I have the basket, I'm just placing a heat-proof bowl in it, covering it, and then placing it on the pot. But you can obviously just use a microwave if you have one, or just put the tofu in a pot with a splash of water and reheat it that way if you don't have either. This looks so good. I'm super excited to dive in. I also have a nice drink in a fancy glass tonight because it's dinner, why not? It's white grape and aloe vera. I'm hoping that it also has pieces of aloe in it. Yep, it's a classic aloe drink. And it does have, oh, but it doesn't want to come out. It's kind of stuck. These are big pieces. Oh, it has grapes in it as well. That's a surprise. That's a first. Ooh, that's a lot of sugar. But it's gonna go very well with the tofu because it's spicy as well as the cucumbers. We have a bit of spice, a bit of refreshing element. So these look really good. Look at that. That's crunchy. Ooh, and spicy. Also want to try the eggplant. Another thing that I've buried in coriander, but I do love it. They were really good when I just made them. But now they're even better because the flavors have really marinated and mingled together. It tastes amazing. Ta-da! This is the spread for the week. I am super excited to not to have to cook for 7 days. Well, I'll make a couple of instant ramens and use the leftovers to create a few dishes, but otherwise, no cooking at all, just enjoying. But now, the most important part, let's talk storing. So first, I'm gonna put in the fridge things that can't be frozen, like spinach. That definitely goes in the fridge. The steamed eggplant also can't be frozen, goes in the fridge. Well, you could technically freeze it, but it's gonna change the texture. Another thing that can't be frozen, well, again, you could technically freeze it, but I will eat it fresh for sure. JAPCHAE. The fritters, you could freeze them, but I'll put them in the fridge because I know I'll eat them soon, but also it can last quite long. Another thing that can't be frozen, this definitely cannot be frozen, the cucumbers. Those are going to go in the fridge as well. The last thing that I wouldn't want to freeze is the sweet and sour lotus root. And then there are two things that can last for a month, if not more, on the counter. The crisps, obviously no need to freeze them. But I will note that I did put a paper towel in here to absorb any excess oil, just in case there is any. Now, from all this, braised tofu can definitely be frozen, but I am going to keep it out because I know I'll eat it within the week. Mac and cheese definitely can be frozen. Same, I'm not gonna freeze it because I know I'm going to eat it this week. Tteokbokki, they can be frozen. So I'm actually going to freeze one portion because I made two. Same for the tofu stew. It can be frozen. And I will freeze one portion. Pea porridge, this can be frozen, but I'm also not going to freeze it because I know I am going to eat it. Of course, rice can be frozen. If you're feeling uneasy about eating something after it's been in the fridge for 5 days, just freeze everything and reheat as you go. Put it in a steamer or microwave, whatever you prefer. I have been eating the same breakfast for years. I usually eat unflavored soy yogurt with chia seeds and kiwi. So this week was a little bit challenging for me. I had to say goodbye to my favorite to-go breakfast and do a little change, but I have to say this porridge is a serious rival to my favorite breakfast because it is also super easy to put together and just very, very delicious, and you can do endless variations with it. It's day 2 and I have my breakfast all ready here. Have I buried it in coriander? Yes. Don't judge. It's the end of the season. It's the last local coriander and it has this super strong and amazing flavor. Just before the season ends, when it's really cold, the last coriander that survives the cold is just so good. If you don't like coriander, you don't have to do this. You can just enjoy the porridge as is with some soy sauce or salt, but this is what I did today. It's very easy to reheat. You just add some water and then whatever toppings you like. This is what I went with. You could say it's a coriander porridge now, but that's how I like it. It's lunchtime. I'm working on my website, so I want to do something that's really hands-off. I'm going to heat up some tofu stew and rice. I'm gonna do it in the same bowl and I'm gonna place the bowl in my steaming basket so I don't have to wash a pot, just the bowl that I eat from. That means that the juices from the stew are also gonna mingle with the rice a little, which is good in my opinion. If you don't already have a steaming basket, get one. This was so easy and everything is reheated without, being mushed or broken apart. Super easy. I mean, if you have a microwave, stick to that, but a steaming basket is a really, really great option. Let's try this. I totally see why doenjang jjigae is so popular in Korea. It's flavorful, very nourishing, very filling, the perfect quick lunch. I've heard people online compare it to miso and then Koreans fight back. And rightfully so, it is very, very different from miso. Yes, both are fermented soybean paste, but the process that they are made is different. For miso, I think it's all a humid fermentation, so it is not dried out at any point. But for doenjang, it is dried out in these cubes, then the cubes are rehydrated again. So there's a bit more steps to the process, I think. I do feel the difference in the flavor and it is huge. Miso has this salty, savory roundness versus this one has a clean, smooth, fermented punch, which I love. I mean, it's a gentle punch. It's not like, right in your face, but it has this depth that it is different from miso. Of course, there are different miso pastes, definitely also different doenjang pastes, but if you haven't tried, you should, and you should taste the difference for yourself because it is very interesting how you can get such different result from the same ingredient. And yeah, there's a reason why Koreans love doenjang jjigae. It's late. I'm tired. The logical thing to do would be just take something out of the fridge and eat what I have because I have a lot. But then again, I saw this super cool idea by Tina from Dubidubab. She took leftover japchae and wrapped it up in a rice paper and nori to make these crunchy rolls called KIMCHI. And now I have to try. I'm hooked. There's no way back. I'll also be making some instant ramen. That should be easy enough. I'll tune it up a little, but super quickly. So I have all the ingredients here. Instant ramen, yes, it is vegan. I checked. I triple checked. I think I even Googled all the E's, multiple E's. Yeah, it is vegan. It says chicken ramen, but the chicken has not been in the facility when this was made. I started by making the mushroom broth for my ramen, and while the broth is going to cook, I'm gonna make the rice rolls. I'm not going to use the seasoning pack because I have this. I know this one's slightly different because it's the stew type or whatever, but yeah, I have this open, so I'm just gonna save this for when I run out. I love that they have started making a bottled version of the bulldog sauce, but the packaging is not the most practical. We can still add more. But I have to wash my fingers because if I rub this in my eyes, I'm done. After thoroughly washing my hands, I started on the rice rolls by cutting nori. Again, remember, shiny side, sticky side. Want to keep the sticky side up. Nori here. I have to say, these were actually pretty easy to make. We're gonna fold this over fully. Okay, let's try like this. And then roll. Something like that. I think the key with these is to not overfill the rolls and you should be good. It seems like one side always has more rice paper, but when you fry them and bite into them, you can't actually feel the rice paper bunching up on one side. It just looks like it when you fold them. It seems like, okay, one side's gonna be really, really crunchy and the other one not, but when you fry them, it's really even. Yeah, that's better.
Noodles. Lots of water noodles. That's very important to have the oil hot.
I think technically you're supposed to use more oil so that the rice rolls are not sitting on the hot pan and browning, but I'm using leftover oil from the fried lotus root and I just didn't want to add fresh oil to it. I really like the texture of bulldog noodles. The stew noodles are a bit different from the soup noodles, but from my experience, you can use both in both. I'm adding quite a bit of a silken tofu to the soup because I'm making 2 portions. I definitely added more water than the package instructions, but somehow, no matter what I do, these always turn out great. My mom is here to visit, so I made 2 bowls of ramen. We also have the GIMMARI on the side. I'm super excited to share this with her because the GIMMARI are delicious. She already tasted the JAPCHAE and she loved the noodles. I think she's gonna love this even more because there's the crunch, the flavor from the seaweed. That's really good. Basic, simple, maybe not the healthiest dinner, but definitely indulgent and delicious. And let's taste the kimchi. The more you let it sit, the more the noodles are gonna give out their moisture. So eventually it will lose the crispiness, but Okay, you guys, you get the idea. It's delicious. Who doesn't love a good instant ramen with some fried food on the side? I'm gonna sit down at the table while this is hot with my mom, have a nice dinner, a little chat, and I will see you tomorrow. Another day, another porridge. I just wanted to have a slow morning. I wanted to do yoga, read a book, just chill a bit. So porridge it is. This time, even the porridge, super simple. I just did soy sauce, sesame oil, and sesame seeds, but you know, it's still satisfying. Sometimes simple is the best. I'm having tteokbokki for lunch. I probably could have used the steamer to reheat, but I wanted to add some extra water and braise it a bit for the tofu pop. I love the flavor, but I'm craving some coriander. Not a surprise at this point. I just want some freshness, you know? Could have added scallions as well. I mean, you don't have to add anything. It's delicious as is, but I'm opting for some coriander and sesame seeds. Delicious. Very excited about the tofu puffs. It's not something I get often because you can only get them in an Asian grocery store. I'm really happy that we're going to have the marinated seitan, the bulgogi, for dinner because this day has been so far quite starchy and not a lot of protein. But you know, this week is all about flavor. Some days have more protein, some days have less, but it doesn't really matter. Today for breakfast, I'm having a couple of zucchini fritters as well as a toast with ssamjang, mayo, and a bit of bulgogi on top. Let me just tell you, mayonnaise together with ssamjang tastes so good. And paired with this topping, even better. When it comes to the fritters, of course, they're best enjoyed fresh, because now they're kind of soft and they've lost the crunch, but still amazing flavor. For lunch, I'm having braised tofu with some rice. Super easy. I just love how quickly these meals come together. I just need to pop everything in a bowl and heat it up, and that's it. And also, guess who's reading a permaculture handbook? It's called Garden of Gaia. This one is in Latvian, but this book is available in many different languages, I believe. Definitely in English. I finally have access to a plot of land where I can grow vegetables, and I am so excited for the next season. I don't know how well it's gonna go. I don't have much experience. I've grown veggies before. I used to volunteer in a school in the Himalayas in Nepal, and there all the food that I would cook for the school was basically grown on our land, and I was participating in the growing process, but you know, I don't have a lot of experience. I'll read my book, enjoy the lunch, and I'll see you for dinner. I wanted to do something different for dinner today. I'm on the floor, I have the fire going, just needed some coziness, so I set up here. I have the banchan, cucumber, spinach, eggplant, some seaweed crisps. I'm really glad I made 2 boxes of those. And then for the main, I have the tofu stew and a bit of leftover japchae. Super excited to enjoy this. I have my book already. I've been working on the website today, doing a bunch of things, and just needed some coziness. So here we are. I'm gonna enjoy my dinner, and I will see you tomorrow for breakfast. This morning for breakfast, I'm going to make bulgogi grilled cheese sandwich. I'm kind of going to do the same thing as I did for the kimchi grilled cheese by mixing gochujang with a bit of mayonnaise for the outside and for the inside of the toast. The only thing is I've run out of vegan cheese. I have just 1 slice left, but I do have leftover mac and cheese sauce that we made. It has fully solidified, as you can see. I've kind of made my own veggie vegan cheese, something like that. And then, of course, we have the bulgogi. This is already fried, so can go straight in the toast, as well as, of course, the toast and a couple of slices of tomato, because I just wanted to add some freshness to it. So, yeah. Let's make breakfast. Let's check how it's growing. Ooh, that's nice. This one doesn't want to be cut. Okay, just have to trust the process. No. That was a mistake. This one got smooshed a little bit, but still looks delicious and amazing. With the tomato, it's usually, you know, sliding around a bit more, so a bit harder to cut. I really like the addition of the pasta sauce to this because it is oozing, it has good flavor, and it really brightens up the sandwich. I think even better than the just plain vegan cheese. Is it a bit weird that there's potato and pumpkin in my sandwich? Maybe, but then again, there are people who put fries in, you know, sandwiches, which is obviously delicious because starch and starch, why not? So yeah, this one has a bit of potato in it, but amazing. So if you have leftover mac and cheese sauce, perfect for sandwiches. I have to eat this off camera. This is too messy. I've sat down to enjoy my lunch. I'm having some silken tofu. Usually I would serve it cold with maybe some chili crisp, a couple more toppings, but it's raining outside, so I really wanted it hot. And now it's turned into a bit of a soup, but still it's going to taste amazing. It's just that the salt and soy sauce draws out the water. So of course it's swimming, also the steaming and everything. Then for the lotus root, it is best enjoyed when it's fresh, just made, you know, because it retains that crispiness from frying, because you fry it, toss it in the sauce and enjoy it right away normally. But it's great reheated as well because the flavor is just so good. And lotus root, it has a crunch on its own, not just the fried coating, but it has a crunch as well. So it's not going to be all soggy and bad. I just know that the flavor is still great. At the moment, I'm learning about water management. I'll get back into the video, I'll eat my food, and I will see you for dinner. I was waiting for this the whole week. Let's go. Kimchi mac and cheese. I'm just gonna check if the metal is cooked through and hot by going in with a knife. The metal is not cooked through. I ended up not having lunch at home today because I had to go to the city. So I grabbed a light snack there. I had planned cooking bulgogi with some side dishes and noodles for lunch, but I just ended up cooking the bulgogi on the side to have a bit more protein and to have a really hearty dinner. Here's the lemonade. Let's open it. Two things. I wish I would have been less stingy with the sauce. I have leftover sauce in the fridge. I should have added more, but I didn't want the pasta to be swimming in the sauce. But maybe for mac and cheese, swimming in the sauce is exactly what you want. And the second thing this week is really lacking in kimchi. I just bought 1 pack of kimchi in the store, and the packaging is quite small. I don't know what I was thinking. I grabbed it and I was like, okay, kimchi, check. And now I'm realizing if I had more kimchi, I would have added double the amount of kimchi. I'll adjust the recipe that I put in the description for you guys. The next time I make it, I'll put more sauce and more kimchi. But honestly, it's good as is. I'm really happy we have the crunch on top. The flavor is there, the texture is there. It's really, really good. For the drink, I already took a couple of sips. It's very mango-y, very fruit forward. I love the flavor, but it is very sweet. I'm thinking they must have added artificial sweetener as well because it doesn't have a lot of sugar, but it has that artificial sweetener flavor. I'm gonna share the dinner and enjoy the evening, and I'll see you tomorrow for breakfast for the last day of our Korean week. Today is the last day of our meal prep week, and that can only mean one thing. It's a day of leftovers. So for breakfast, I'm having zucchini fritters with some leftover bulgogi, and I also added a bit of mac and cheese sauce on top. I know it's kind of chaotic, but at the same time, I do think that those flavors are gonna go together really well. The cheese sauce actually melted. There is no reason why these flavors shouldn't go together. Really, really good. It's time for a lunch break. I have my tofu stew and a bit of rice porridge. It smells amazing and I'm ready to dig in. After that, I will keep working on the website. I really want to finish the website before the publishing of this video. In case I don't finish on time, I will create a link to a Word document that you all can use to download the recipes. I don't want to overcook the kale in the broth, I want it to stay crunchy and green. So I'm going to set it aside for now. Even though I still have the bulldog sauce in the fridge, I'm gonna open this one. It says kimchi on it. I think it might be flavored. Some sesame oil to finish. I already know that this is going to be amazing. Look at that. Perfect dinner. And I also have some banchan on the side. You know what? I'm genuinely surprised that these have stayed fresh all through the week. I kept them in the fridge and I kept taking the containers out when I was eating. But I think the key here is have a clean container, use clean utensils, and don't keep them out on the table for too long. And they can last you a very, very long time, at least 7 days. I left some of these on purpose. I didn't finish them because I wanted to test if they could stay fresh for a week. And yes, they can. Let me know down in the comments what country's meal prep I should do next, because I'm kind of into this and I would love to make this a series. And if you guys enjoy the videos, let me know. I'll keep doing this. I was thinking India because I personally just love Indian food. India is super vegan, plant forward, you know, in the way they cook, especially the street food. Because I think traditionally, well, part of it is religion, and then also there are no refrigerators on the streets. So the street food is super plant forward, and I think we would have a lot of amazing dishes to discover. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think, and I am going to enjoy this. Thank you once again for watching. Subscribe and share the video if you want to help out the channel and see more content like this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!